We leave it for those who may return here in the storage vault for human learning, the Last Earth Library.
Howdy folks, and welcome to the Spaghetti Theater for the Spaghetti Theater Review. This time I'm going to review something a little different and a little strange. Something most people have never seen or heard of. It's something I remember fondly from my youth growing up in the 80s and 90s. As the years went on, I began to wonder if I imagined the whole thing. A series that only existed in my head? Could it be? Only no, because I know others who remember it too. Only to have seen this, you would have had to have been a kid in the 80s or early 90s, because it was a series made by a public broadcasting station out of Mississippi. It was meant to be an educational series to teach kids how to use the library and understand its whole Dewey Decimal System shit. Only it was made in the style to look like a post-apocalyptic, low-budget 80s science fiction movie, which was a little weird, but certainly a way to get kids' attention. Because it's very cornball, folks. Because the crazy story that was going on overshadowed all that learning about the Dewey Decimal System shit. All I know is that for 1 year of my childhood, sometime in the late 80s or early 90s, I was in elementary school, and every week they would send the class to the library for library class, I guess? Do they still do that? Anyway, every class for 14 weeks, the librarian would turn off the lights, roll out that TV and VCR combo that they had, and pop in an episode of this series that was meant to make learning about how to use the library fun by setting it in a bleak, depressing-ass Earth future and allow you to get whisked away to a fantastical world of bookmobiles and dirty hillbillies from space, known as the Wipers. Yeah, those are the aliens, the Wipers, hillbillies from space. And this series was called Tomes and Talismans. But because I'm an idiot for years, I thought it was Tombs and Talismans. I'm fucking stupid. See, they didn't teach me anything. I didn't learn shit. I just remember this being a cool movie. I also thought this lady was Adrienne Barbeau. That's how dumb I am. It was made in 1985. A 14-chapter, one-season series made by Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Way to go, Mississippi! Because right now we're gonna take a look at its pilot episode, Tomes and Entombed. There's the word tomb. It is in there somewhere, at least. Fucking English language. So it starts off with this excellent 80s post-apocalyptic score. That's, well, just wonderful. So again, way to go, Mississippi. Hearing this music takes me back in time. It's like having nostalgia injected into your vein. For me, the show even has its own intro. To lay it all out for you, Gilligan's Island style, only far more dark and hopeless. Even with this fairy tale book opening. It's a library venture, folks. Sounds exciting. Is this gonna be anything like The Page Master with Macaulay Culkin? By RYX? Whoever the hell that is. So the year is 2103. The future, folks. The 80s future, that is. Cause shit in 2103 will still look like shit in the 80s. Also, pollution has become a bigger problem, so people don't travel much anymore.
Human movement was severely limited.
Doesn't seem to stop them, though.
We're going to your cousin's barbecue, even if it kills us.
Hell, it's the traveling that causes a lot of the pollution in the first place. Or was that the point? Anyway, that doesn't matter because the Earth has even bigger problems than that, folks. That primitive alien species of dirty hillbillies known as the Wipers.
This primitive species from the Dark Star solar system.
And they're from the Dark Star system. Like that John Carpenter movie. Anyway, they somehow mastered space travel and made it to Earth. And once again surprised everyone and managed to colonize the entire planet, since they wanted to use Earth to continue practicing their favorite pastime.
Found Earth perfect for their favorite pastime, the disruption of all communication and data technology.
Destroying all communications and data technology, or data, however the hell you want to say it. What? I guess Good to have hobbies and goals to keep your mind busy. But really, that's their favorite pastime? I've never met anyone whose favorite pastime was doing that shit. Okay, whatever. They hate technology. Even though it took technology to get them to Earth, but who cares? Who cares? Why am I overthinking this? Dumb hillbillies from space. The series. Just like on Lex. Then by the year 2117, the people of Earth decided to say fuck it. And just evacuate the entire planet and leave it to the wipers. And start a new life in a place called the Crystal Solar System.
In the white crystal solar system.
Sounds nice, actually. All because the wipers apparently could not be stopped. Because I guess the military is obsolete dog shit by the year 2117. Couldn't take care of these guys? Seriously? I fucking guess. And this whole intro that we've been listening to was actually a report that was created back in 2123.
This report was completed in 2123, during our final days on Earth.
In the final days of humans on Earth.
We leave it for those who may return here in the storage vault for human learning.
And it's being left in a storage vault for human learning, huh? For their descendants who might decide to return to Earth someday once the wipers move on, and can learn all about Earth's history right here.
The Last Earth Library.
At the last library on Earth. And it's in Mississippi, apparently. Why the fuck not? Seriously. It has to be somewhere. So cut to the last library on Earth. It's 2123, and this is the final day for all humans to evacuate the Earth for good. Last call, folks, as these two library officials complete the finishing touches on the last library on Earth. In Mississippi, so that it's ready for anyone who discovers it. Even the wipers might stumble upon this shit. But more than likely one day, Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise will discover this place, decide it's wrong, and destroy it. So there's this vest lady, our main character, folks, not Adrienne Barbeau. Can you maybe see it? She kinda does, sorta, whatever. She's a queen library, the world's most dedicated library. And also, more than likely, she's a dedicated spinster too. And her name is Miss Bookhart. Yep, I kid you not, she's a librarian named Miss Bookhart. Hardy Hart. How adorable for her. It was her family's destiny to man libraries. And then there's this orange suit guy. His name is Lester. Then enter another orange suit. Only this one's pudgier, and her name is
Dundee.
Dundee, folks. Yeah, very suiting for her. That's not a knife. She is so a Dundee. Crocodile's sister. Anyway, she comes in with this newspaper headline from the Worldwide News. And they're calling it quits too because this is their final edition. And you can see why by the headline. Final evac today. Like in 2123, they'd really be using newspapers for this kind of shit. I mean, we barely use them now. And check out this side story. Those are always fun to look at. Snell defeats bill to curb fuzzy signal. What? Even the newspapers from the Beetlejuice afterlife made more sense. Lousy sandworms. And why is the main picture here a monorail? Damn 80s future, make more sense. So Bookhart orders Dundee to put that newspaper on microfilm for filing.
Put it on microfilm and file it, Dundee. Right.
It's an important document that should go in their library's archive. On microfilm, like they're a bunch of Russian spies. Future people will want to know if they ever curbed that fuzzy signal. So Dundee heads off to do that shit when Lester asks whether or not the books on the history of the wipers should be filed under fiction or non-fiction.
I want all the history books about wipers to stay on the non-fiction shelves at 909.
And right off the bat, we're learning something here, children. Can't believe Lester doesn't know this. He works in the fucking library. Library. Barry? I'm one of those idiots that's probably said Barry as a kid. He wanted to punch me in the face for saying it wrong. So yeah, we're learning that this fully grown man doesn't know the difference between fiction and non-fiction. Lester, what kind of library official are you? Or EAM guy? They go in non-fiction, dipshit. As in things real to our own world and not made up shit. Like Tomes and Talismans. Which, in the number system that they use at the library, would be filed between 900 and 999.
900 through 999 are the call numbers for history and geography.
Because those are the call numbers for history and geography. Lester, you dope. Listen, how did you not know that?
Right.
See, isn't learning fun? To be honest, I forgot all that shit too. 999, whatever. I'm as dumb as Lester, I guess.
Right.
Well, at least according to the Dewey Decimal System. God, Lester, will you get with it already before Miss Bookhart fires your ass on the last day of Earth?
But
Which begs him to ask Miss Bookhart the logical question, of course. Let's say that our descendants should return here, decades from now, and discover this last library on Earth. Oh, Crispin, I didn't even notice you were here. Jeez, scared the shit out of me. Were you there the whole time? This is Crispin number 7, believe it or not. Just to throw that in there. Man, you are a sneaky little one. 7, I gotta watch out for this one. How will they even know what call numbers are? Our descendants from the future. Or even the friggin' Dewey Decimal System.
how will they know what a call number is, or even what the Dewey Decimal System is?
Yeah, Miss Bookhart, how will they know?
Yeah, Miss Bookhart, how will they know?
So she explains, of course, that the great Melville Dewey invented this system.
Lester, Melville Dewey invented the Dewey Decimal System precisely to help people find the books they're looking for.
Named it after himself just for that reason. Melville's gift to us, the world. Thanks, Melville. I guess, if anything, we got this series out of it.
Right.
So Miss Bookhart refers Lester's dim-witted ass to this wall chart that explains to any dope who wanders in here and understands the English language what the Dewey Decimal System is and how to use it. And she has complete faith that this wall chart is good enough.
I'm sure they'll be able to learn the system just as we have.
But just to be safe, left instructions in this 80s computer of the future. They can figure out how to use it, that is. And if it's even still working, well, Dewey, any system ideas for that shit? May you rest in peace, Melville. I kid. So Miss Bookhart shows Lester how this computer works. And man, is it low tech for 2123. But who cares, because it's learning time again, children. As Miss Bookhart explains how the Dewey Decimal System works by using these screenshots to teach us. Dewey managed to break all human knowledge down to 10 categories, which you can find in the card catalog, everyone. The cards are divided into types: fiction, non-fiction, title, author, or even the subject itself. Isn't learning fun, kids? You look thrilled. Well, it better be, because those cards can lead you to books on such subjects as history, science, and art. Isn't that fascinating, children? Really? No? Well, you could also look up fiction if that's more your thing. Plenty of cards on made-up books that come purely from the author's imagination. Like that Harry Potter shit, kids. Or 80s Harry Potter. This fucker. Encyclopedia Brown. Is he a thing anymore? Probably not. But you don't have to take my word for it. What's your favorite book, Crispin number 7?
You can't go wrong with Pippi Longstocking is coming into your town.
I guess so. He's right. Check it out. Pippi Longstocking. Learning is fun.
You mean fiction?
Like that Twilight crap. Mystery, fantasy, adventure, or science fiction cheapness like this. And of course, Lester can relate more to books on made-up shit, so we get to hear what 2 of his favorites are.
Golden Wiper Mystery by Sanford Knight.
That's always been your favorite, hasn't it, Lester?
The Golden Wiper Mystery, huh? Sounds like a real made-up page-turner.
Well, actually, I prefer How to Eat Fried Worms by Thomas Rockwell.
How to Eat Fried Worms? That one's real, I'm pretty sure. I swear I remember that shit too. Just as much as I remember The Bridge to Terabithia. The book fair is over.
But who listens to Lester around here?
But yeah, Lester, who the fuck listens to you? Sure isn't Miss Bookhart, who names 2 of her favorite books in response, instead of going into deep conversation on how to eat fried worms.
The Great Brain by John Fitzgerald and Black Beauty by Anna Sewell are 2 of my favorites.
Black Beauty? Well, that's a real book too. So all this talk about their favorite books reminds them of how sad it is. That they have to leave it all behind and move on to another solar system.
Who knows what will happen to all this when only the Wipers are left?
And what if the Wipers should stumble upon it? The Wipers who hate technology. so they would just destroy it.
Oh well, fuck you, Melville Dewey.
So Lester points out that this last library on Earth isn't just visible to the world.
Well, this library is well hidden. I don't think the wipers can find this underground vault.
It's inside a well-hidden underground vault. So smart thinking there, Lester. Then, Miss Bookhart totally steps all over Lester's next line.
I think it's more difficult to part with the fiction.
And keeps on going, too. As Lester just stands there all perplexed like, what? Did that bitch just cut me off? And keep on going?
But do you know what really seems impossible?
What?
Well, I guess you were right, Lester. No one fucking listens to you.
But who listens to Lester around here?
Miss Bookhart then says that it's easier for her to give up to fiction than to non-fiction, since fiction is made up bullshit. If it was me, I guess saying goodbye to my TV guide collection would be really hard. As for books, well, I was always partial to When the Legends Die, Maniac McGee, and finally, The Eyes of a Killer Robot. But you don't have to take my word for it. Ba-dum-bum. Miss Bookhart's biggest loss, though, will be her precious reference books, like all those encyclopedias and dictionaries, all the accumulated knowledge of the humans. Even that book Hitler wrote, Mein Kampf. Think that shit's in there?
All these encyclopedias with general information about everything we human beings know anything about.
It's the 80s future, remember. It's before the internet. So the internet never happened, I guess. And boy, is she in love with this dictionary. She's all like, check this shit out. The word cloud has 7 different definitions, man. Ooh, wow, dictionaries rock.
7 definitions for a cloud. 7.
Wait, 7 different definitions? Fuck you, the English language. It's probably even more now. Like that storage cloud on your fucking computer that didn't exist in the 80s. Add that to the fucking 7. Oh man, shit. Then enter another orange jumpsuit library official. This nerdy chick. Margaret is her name.
Yes, Margaret?
I'm still a Team Dundee guy myself. Margaret has been frantically searching for Miss Bookhart because she found a discrepancy in the 909 sector, and apparently there is a book missing.
And in the 909s, there is a volume missing.
In that book, Harry helps out. Oh, sorry, I have it. I forgot to return it. Just kidding. So, oh shit, call the library detective from Seinfeld. We have a 909 on our hands, folks. So Margaret explains to a doubtful on her word Miss Bookhart.
Now, you're sure you were in the 909s, Margaret? Did you look at the labels on the shelves? Yes, I'm sure I was in the 909s.
That while verifying that all the 900s were accounted for, she discovered that Volume 3 of this 3-volume book series on the history of the wipers on Earth is missing.
There is a volume missing from the history of wipers on Earth.
So, oh shit everybody, we failed at our mission. Shut her down. Burn down the last library on Earth. A pretty important book, too. It's because of the damn wipers that you have to evacuate the Earth in the first place. And Miss Bookhart knows all about Volume 3.
That's the volume which covers the capture and defection of the Singing River Wipers.
The Singing River Wipers? What?
The Singing River Wipers.
That's what I heard.
The Singing River Wipers.
The Singing River Wipers. Well, I would like to meet those folks. They sound delightful. They sound like my kind of aliens.
It gives the history of the Bite family, how they came to live as Earthlings.
It also has the history of the Bite family and how they came to live as humans on Earth. Fascinating. Remember that name, folks, Bite, because it comes back later in the story. That particular volume contained a lot of information on the wipers, and just may be the most important book in this archive. So hopefully it was just Miss Shell. Hopefully. So Lester, hop to it. Go search the fiction section for that missing Volume 3. Chop chop, Lester.
All the made-up books about wipers. Got it.
Yeah, made up shit. That's what fiction is. Isn't learning fun, kids? And take Margaret's stupid ass with you to help. Maybe the two of you will fall in love and this whole thing will turn into some kind of rom-com. Or a porno. Hallmark movie at best. That's when Miss Bookhart asks, where the hell is Dundee?
Where's Dundee?
I need my Dundee fix. That's when Lester reminds her that you, like fucking 2 minutes ago, sent her off to put that newspaper's final edition headline on the microfilm.
You sent out to get a microfilm of the final edition of the Worldwide News.
Where is the microfilm with the last headline on Earth on it? Remember, Miss Bookhart, you overstressed nut you? I think that vest is cutting off the circulation to your brain.
I'll go check with her. Maybe she knows where Volume 3 is.
So now she's gonna go find Dundee and ask her if she has seen that missing Volume 3. So get to work, Lester and Margaret. And she means now. We only got 2 hours till the final evac of Earth.
Start looking now. We've only got 2 hours before we're due at the evacuation site.
So we're running against time, people. So she bails and Lester starts ordering Margaret around, since I guess he outranks her in the library official world.
Why?
Maybe. Who cares? He wants to search the fiction section by the author's last name to see if it was misshelved along with the other fiction books about the Wipers. When Margaret points out that they don't even know the last names of every author who wrote fictional books about Wipers.
You're right.
You dumbass. Then, after some brainstorming, these two dopes realize that they can look up books about the Wipers by consulting the card catalog in the category marked Subject. The subject being Wipers, of course.
And the subject is...
Wipers! That's it!
Yeah!
And you can skip past all those how to install them on the fucking windshield of your car ones. Not those Wipers.
We'll look at the subject cards under Wipers.
Ta-da! Learning, children! Learning. They're not too sharp for people of the future. I feel like this is the same future from the movie Time Chasers. Only this is what was going on in Mississippi. Different years, I know. So W through WI and bingo! All the books about Wipers. And there's a lot, too. Since this is the official archive in the last library on Earth. Yeah. Burgess Meredith's Wet Dream. So now what they have to do is make a list of all the fiction books with their title and author, even though the non-fiction books are mixed up in there too. Which raises the question, in Margaret's goofy little 80s head,
We only need the fiction books, so
how do we know which ones are fiction and how do we know which ones are non-fiction?
how do we know the difference on these cards?
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs! Another problem for Team Goofballs. Nah, only Lester knows the answer to this one, so way the fuck to go, Lester. It's about time.
These are numbers that tell us where the books are on the shelves.
Just for that, you can take a copy of How to Eat Fried Worms to the Crystal Solar System with you. I think the archive will be fine without it. No offense, guy who wrote that.
Thomas Rockwell.
Yeah. Smart ass. It's simple, Margaret. Sorta. All you have to do is look at the top left-hand corner of the card. If it's a non-fiction book, you'll see a bunch of numbers, because they're shelved by numbers. If it's fiction, you'll simply see the letter F. F you, man, and the first letter of the last name, since they're shelved alphabetically. Well, hot shit. Librarying for dummies, kids. Are you getting it yet? So now these two dopes make a list of every book about Wipers, with the author's name, so they can go and compare and see if they're actually properly shelved. This sounds tedious and boring, and doesn't really require two people. Well, for them it does, so... Teamwork! Way to go, guys. I love you, Lester and Margaret. You guys should get married once you reach the Crystal Solar System. Unless, of course, Lester's more into Dundee, who I'm almost certain is a lesbian anyway. But I could be wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. I want to tap some of that Dundee. So cut to the news, folks, with our anchor, Jesse Ventura's dim-witted brother, Corky Ventura. He's here with an update on that final evac, and lets everyone out there in TV land know that they only have 2 hours until the final evac is complete. So get your shit together, doofuses at the library. That's when the newsroom is suddenly raided, and we get our first good look at these so-called Wipers. And wow, I mean, seriously? They're not that menacing. Are we really evacuating the entire planet because we can't deal with these trailer park boys from space? I fucking guess so. So they take over this whole news station quite easily and go on destroying technology that they hate so much. Cause for some reason, this is their favorite pastime. Whatever, guys. And this dope.
Farewell, Earthlings. I hope you find unpolluted happiness in the White Crystal Solar System. In the meantime, we'll take care of this planet. And it'll be in even better shape than it is now! Yeah!
Am I supposed to be afraid from that unthought out speech? that you just bumbled out? The world has been taken over by a bunch of drunk factory workers. What are your demands again? Whatever, guys. Have fun trashing the newsroom. I'm sure the earth will be fine. It's the people that are fucked. So cut to Miss Bookhart, who has finally tracked down the Great Dundee, Paul Hogan's sister, as they watch this news broadcast and are just as baffled by these wipers.
The wipers have taken over the news channel.
Leaving them behind will be a pleasure.
Who? The wipers of the news channel. Anyway, Dundee has succeeded at her task and has transferred that newspaper story to the microfilm of the future. So she starts to read the article, only to be cut off by the queen bitch of cutting people off, Miss Bookhart.
Up to the minute records for our descendants, who may in the future return to work.
Okay, that's enough, Dundee. We don't have much time.
Time is running out, Dundee. Didn't you hear Corky Ventura? There's only 2 hours to get the hell off the earth. So quit reading the friggin' newspaper and tell Miss Bookhart if you've seen Volume 3 or not of the history of the wipers on Earth.
Do you know where Volume 3 of the History of Wipers on Earth is?
No.
Which she has not. So that was a big waste. Dundee then makes her own theories on the book's whereabouts. Perhaps it was checked out and never returned.
Perhaps it was checked out and never returned.
Only Miss Bookhart blows that theory out of the water.
We closed our checkout records weeks ago.
Think harder, Dundee, because all the books in the world are either here in this archive or aboard the iconic and beloved
Bookmobile.
We've had every book in this library or the bookmobile for over a week.
That's when Miss Bookhart recalls the bookmobile's final run, driving around using a loudspeaker to call in all the remaining books.
We had the loudspeaker on, calling in the last of the books.
Sounds fucking depressing. That's when this guy named Sandy Bite came running over to the bookmobile with a pile of books.
Naturally, Sandy Bite came out to the bookmobile stop, his arms loaded down with books.
And there's that name again, folks, Bite. So Miss Bookhart goes on about the great Sandy Bite and how he was an obsessed book reader.
That old fellow must have read 3 books a week.
A day.
Like Burgess Meredith again, in Time Enough at Last. Anyway, most of the books that he brought over to her at the last minute, like a self-serving old asshole, were about the wipers. And some of them were even written by his great-grandfather, Sanford Bite.
The Golden Wiper Mystery by Sanford Bite.
The guy who wrote The Golden Wiper Mystery, one of Lester's favorite books. But not as much as How to Eat Fried Worms. Fried worms. Fucking gross. Anyway, the whole point of the story was that that's where she last saw Volume 3 of the history of wipers on Earth. And now she's not sure if he actually gave it back to her or not. So that old prick might have the last book on Earth, or it's mixed in with the fiction. They don't really know.
Well, it was in the pile, but I'm not sure.
But fear not! Lester and Margaret are on the case. Or that fuckhead stole it, who knows? But if Old Man Bite does have it, it's Miss Bookhart's duty to get it and return it to the archive.
I've got to get it back. It's essential to our archive. It is my duty to make sure that every important book be in this archive.
For humanity, I guess. She's a little crazy. It's her mission as this highly dedicated head librarian of the 1980s future to journey into the wiper-strewn wastelands. Go to Sandy Bite's house and see if he has that damn book. She then orders Dundee to go straight to the evac center once Lester and Margaret are finished their little mission. Because now she has a mission to accomplish, and the clock is ticking. So she bails the hell out of there, since this is a life or death situation in her crazy eyes, yet promises Dundee to meet up with her and the others once she's all done.
Explain it to the others, will you? I'll see you there.
Maybe, folks. So cut back to the Orange Jumpsuit Brigade with their complete list of all fiction books about good old wipers. So they start looking for each book by the author's last name to see if it was misshelved, only failed twice at finding it.
And it's not the missing Volume 3.
And hey look, Bite again. And it's a copy of the Golden Wiper Mystery, required reading at the 80s Academy of Reading. Only once again, this is not the book they're looking for.
And it's not the missing Volume 3 of the History of Wipers on Earth.
Gosh darn it, and a bottle of shucks. So they're shit out of luck, I guess. And after only 2 tries. So cut to Miss Bookhart so we can get our first look at the real star of this show. The Bookmobile! As Miss Bookhart is driving it through the 80s wastelands of Mississippi, where lawn mowing has become a thing of the past. For today is the last day of human life on Earth. she goes right to Sandy Bite III's dumpy ass house. And somebody's home too, since they verify that there's a fire going. Yep, we see it, just to get that book back. Man, she really is just as thorough as that library detective from Seinfeld. With a name like Bookhart, you have something to live up to. So she lightly taps on the wall, and when he doesn't come a-running, she just lets herself into this questionable looking hellhole. Only to find this crazy chick instead burning books. That explains the chimney smoke. Well, fuck, I hope none of those were the History of Wipers on Earth Volume 3. Then this would be all for naught. So Miss Bookhart actually tries to talk to this lunatic, instead of running the hell out of there.
What are you doing? What happened to Sandy?
And she responds by dancing more awkwardly than Elaine Bennis. Well, what a freak show. So finally realizing that this chick is clearly out of her mind, and maybe even possessed by the devil, makes a discreet exit. Who is saddened by the loss of this possible new friend. Oh, it came on a little strong. So was she a wiper? But screw that. Doesn't matter, I guess. Cut back to Lester, Dundee, and Margaret, who watch what is probably the final broadcast from the evac news, which is somehow still broadcasting even though the wipers took over the station earlier. But before they execute Corky Ventura on live TV, they allow him one more final report from what looks like under his desk, while still being lightly bothered by the wipers as he does this.
You have 1 hour to report to the evacuation center. 1 hour.
So the wipers are undisciplined 9-year-olds at this point, folks, and took over the world by simply being pests. Anyway, you got 1 hour until the final evac of Earth, folks. Corky Ventura, over and out. And realizing that this is the final call, and that the last library on Earth is complete, and ready to go, Dundee, Lester, and Margaret are ready to head off to the evac center. But hesitate since good old, way too loyal to her job, Miss Bookhart, still hasn't returned yet. And Dundee points out that that bitch better hurry, because they gotta bail. You can't just keep dicking around here.
Well, I hope if she did find it, she's on her way back. We've still got to get to the evacuation site.
Dundee cares about numero uno. So they all bail with hopes that Miss Bookhart will make it back in time, as everything is left on, including the 80s computer instruction screen. For, future 80s people to discover, I guess. So cut to Miss Bookhart in the bookmobile as its engine starts to shit the bed. Well, she's fucked. Last human on Earth, and now she's stranded in Tallgrass City, Mississippi. She tries to radio for help, only the signal is being jammed by, yep,
Wipers jammed all signals.
those pesky wipers again, fucking with our futuristic 80s tech that they love to hate so much. We even get a good shot of them doing it too, so again, this is a species that took over the entire Earth and convinced humanity to just leave. I have so many questions here, but who cares?
Whatever you did, something's working. It must have been an accident.
Something's working. Must have been an accident, because they hate technology. It's their thing. So cut back to Miss Bookhart, where the bookmobile has broken down. So she crawls into the back to look for some tools, cause, well hell, Miss Bookhart is a mechanic too. Probably built the bookmobile herself. So cut away to the evac center, where Lester and the gang plead to this evac official to wait for or go find the great Miss Bookhart, since she's yet to arrive.
It's just too late to send out a search party.
Only it's too late for any of that shit, guys. We were given plenty of warnings and updates from Corky Ventura.
This whole system is on automatic now.
So oh fucking well. Miss Bookhart wants to be the last human bitch on Earth, that's her fucking problem. So they get in line since, well, what else can they do? As Lester reminds us that, yep.
Miss Bookhart is the only human left out there.
Oh, and this is definitely the 80s. Look right here. This kid is wearing Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket. Yeah. Miss Bookhart is the only human left out there. Got that, kids? It's just her and the wipers now. So cut back to Miss Bookhart in the back of the bookmobile, who is knocked down by a mystery gust of wind from nowhere. Turns around to see what it is, only to find this guy appear out of thin air. Well, that's just fucking great. And she naturally asks, who the hell are you? And here's his answer.
I am a universal being, riding on a golden zephyr.
A universal being riding on a golden zephyr. That explains everything.
Weaving time and space.
Children, you know what that shit is, right? Weaving time and space. So Miss Bookhart actually asked this weirdo if he can help her.
Can you help me?
And he responds by throwing pixie dust on her. and sending her into a deep sleep for about, oh, I don't know.
Passing the years 10 times 10.
10 times 10? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 kids, numbers too. We're learning a lot of stuff today. 100 years. She's gonna fall asleep for 100 fucking years. Rip Van Bookhart. But don't worry, the Traveler here promises that there is a plan and it has something to do with
Tomes and Talismans.
Tomes and Talisman, folks. Hot shit, that's the name of the fucking show. But that's all you get because the Traveler just disappears to go hang out with Wesley Crusher. Then cut back one more time as we see Lester, Dundee, and Margaret successfully beamed off the Earth forever. As long as Dundee made it, I'm happy. The planet has been de-Dundeed, and they were never to be seen again. And I mean it. This is the only chapter of the 14 chapters that they're credited for. So goodbye forever, Dundee, Lester, and Margaret. Margaret I could give a shit about, but Dundee and Lester, they were like family to me, man, at this point.
I hope they have a good life in the crystal solar system.
And then the chapter ends and is to be continued. What's this? Will Miss Bookhart wake up in time to escape from the planet Earth? Will we find out why the Wipers are just backwoods hillbillies from Mississippi? Find out next time, I guess. Same Talisman time, same Talisman channel. Until next week, folks. And that was the first chapter of Tomes and Talisman. Classic childhood memory. Which leads me into my final thoughts on this weirdness. Obviously, there are 13 more chapters to go. This chapter merely sets the scene for this so-called library venture. I love this though, and only because I was the right age when it came out. It's corny and cheaply made, with bad acting, but I love it. I love how they turned it into a post-apocalyptic sci-fi film at the same time. For years I couldn't find this anywhere, but thanks to YouTube I can watch every single episode just for the pure nostalgia. I mean, come on, it was made to educate children on how the library worked decades ago. As for the cast, this is all they fucking did. Like I said, as a kid, I thought Miss Bookhart was Adrienne Barbeau. Saw a lot of Escape from New York back then. They both have that 80s look though. Only it's not her. Her actual name is Nikki Wood. One thing I really do love about Tomes and Talisman is its awesome 80s score. That music alone feels like the 80s to me. It takes me right back there. So that will end my look at Tomes and Talisman's first chapter. Tomes and Tuned. Who knows, maybe I'll do another chapter someday and review chapter 2. But as usual, thanks again to all of my subscribers out there and leavers of comments. I really appreciate it. So until next time, folks, I'll see you at the theater. Ready, number 7? Let's get out of here. Get out of here, you little guy.
The last library on Earth.